So this is Reification versus Cookie Love. I don't know if you're bronze or silver. I think you said that you were brand new to 1v1, so I assume that means you started at bronze, but you know, you could place higher backs. And this is going to be a cannon rush, I guess. And okay, so there's a few things to remember about a cannon rush. First, if you kill the first pylon, he can't make anything but pylons, and pylons aren't scary. So the second you see a Protoss plant a pylon in your base, you have two goals. Number one is to... three goals. Let me drink something. Okay, number one, kill the probe. Number two, kill the pylon. Number three, prevent him from getting anything on the high ground. If you build a depot here, you have a full wall. He has one probe on the pylon on the high ground. He can make cannons on the low ground, sure, but he can only do that if you let the pylon finish. If you don't let the pylon finish, he has to start a whole nother pylon. There's a very limited window of time where anything scary can even happen, and that window is before you have a Marine. Once you have like a Marine or two Marines and a bunker or a Marauder, cannon rushes aren't scary anymore. So when you get hit by this early pylon, especially if you've scouted a forge at a base, but in this case you didn't scout anything, first thing you do, take 7 SCVs and attack the pylon. Next thing you do, take one more SCV, attack the probe. Next thing you do, finish your wall and start a depot. You can even take this guy off the racks and make a depot to get it done earlier, but just prevent him from getting stuff on the high ground at all. After that, put a dude on gas. After you've killed the first pylon, don't keep killing pylons with those SCVs. You only need to kill the first one. If you kill the first pylon, he has to make a second pylon. You can let that one finish, and he can make cannons near it. But by then, you'll already have Marines out. You'll already have a bunker started, and he'll just be doomed. So first pylon, kill it with 7 Marines, and then send those 7 SCVs, and send those SCVs back to mining. You can keep chasing each probe with 2 SCVs. And once you've finished your wall in and you kill those probes, there's no longer anything scary that can come from this. The reason you took gas, you don't put 3 guys in gas. You take 1 SCV, say build gas. He's going to start mining when that's finished. And he's going to mine 1 SCV at a time worth of gas, which is exactly enough gas to get a reactor. To get a tech lab and then to get a Marauder. And once you have a Marauder who has 6 range, you should be basically immune to cannons from there. So what you don't want to happen is for this pylon to finish, him to throw down cannons, and then start replacing pylons, get the cannons up, and have them in range of your wall. Luckily, your opponent is kind of an idiot. This is ridiculous. He doesn't want cannons up there. I don't know why he even made pylons up there. Also, there's no reason to cancel a pylon that's only being attacked by 3 SCVs, because it's going to finish, and it's going to be up for a long time before 3 SCVs can kill it. It takes 7 SCVs to kill a pylon. I don't even know what he's doing. He doesn't seem to be cannon rushing. He seems to just be an idiot. I'm okay with this idiocy. Now you have a Marine out and you win. So from here, you didn't put guys back on mining very quickly. I'm a little worried about that. You're just economically pretty far behind, even though he never got a single cannon up. And now he's going to transition into fast expand. Lately, all... what are they called? So after you cannon rush, what do you have? A forge. What can you do with a forge? You can defend a choke. What benefit does defending a choke have? It means you can get a quick expo. So most of the time, if you get forge rushed and you hold it off, he's going to expo and put cannons at his natural. And that means that on your own, you should be expoing too and putting bunkers at your natural, and then just go from there. You should be ahead. He spent a crap ton of money on basically nothing, whereas you spent a crap ton of money on Marines to resist the cannon rush, and those Marines don't go away after you resist it, so it's good. This really threw off your build, though. You have 1,000 minerals in the bank. You've got tons of workers, and you're mining a crap ton of money from 2 bases. You have no forge, no intention of getting a forge. Lots of gas coming in that's just not going to be used on anything for a really long time. It looks like you got stim. You might want to get combat shields and concussive shells. Here comes the forge. This is a big this is a practice thing. The more you play the game, the more you realize how many geysers are going to be how much gas and what you need to spend that gas. But when you throw down quadruple gas and you don't immediately start a factory, you're not going to be able to spend all that gas. It's just not possible. So I am not surprised that you're up to 400 gas. Now that your factory is done, you're starting a starport. You got to start where's the armory? Yeah, you made an armory. You're going to keep doing upgrades. Got all those upgrades. You're going to start medevacs. Your gas is continuing to pile up higher and higher. Your opponent threw down a third. You did not. You have 73 workers on 2 bases. This is a big mistake. 2 base max saturation is 52. If you make more than 52, you better be making a third, or you better be pulling workers to attack with, because otherwise they're just not doing anything. Just big waste of workers. And I know that when I'm watching the replay, I can just look at this number and it becomes really easy to count. And you might be thinking, in game, I can't count how many workers I have. How am I supposed to know when to stop? And the answer is, if you look at a base that has fewer than max saturation workers on it, like this, watch these workers. Just kind of stare right here. Now, all the workers are going to be going back and forth between the mineral patches. They're all going to be going in straight lines. No one's going to be moving from here to here. There's not going to be anyone crossing horizontally across the path. So we watch. That guy just moved. That guy just moved. That guy just moved. That guy just moved. And they're moving, like, when a guy comes out, it's going to take him a while to settle. He's going to cause some horizontal movement. But like right now, these guys are only moving back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. That means that you're not full. So when this guy comes out, another guy, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. No one is moving around horizontally. So you should be able to just instantly glance at a base and tell whether it can support more workers. Just by whether there's any horizontal movement. So right now, this base is oversaturated. It's not oversaturated. This base is 1 worker away from being full saturation. And that means we're going to see just oh, actually, it's not. Never mind. I selected some other workers by accident. So we're still seeing no big horizontal movement, just still back and forth stuff. Still just back and forth stuff. So this is a fully saturated base, and this is what a fully saturated base looks like. If you just glance, right here there's 2 workers, 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 right here there's 2 workers. This is what a fully saturated base looks like. There's just 2 workers everywhere. It looks like little double workers. You see how you can just kind of look across here and see double, 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 double? And there's no one moving back and forth. But if we fast forward a little bit, once we've added like 3 workers, you can see this guy just moved across. There's constantly a little bit. This guy's moving. This guy's moving. That guy's moving. This guy's moving. This guy right here is moving. This guy just moved down. You see that guy move down? This guy's moving down. So this is an oversaturated base. That's how you can tell at a glance whether you've got enough workers at a base. You want to have 2 workers at every patch, but nobody moving around in between. And it's okay to slightly oversaturate your base. But you don't want, like, right here, let's see, there it is. So when the mules get out of the way, it'll be more obvious. It's like when you draw a picture. If you draw it in a dotted line on paint, it's going to look kind of grayish. But if you draw it with a solid line, it's going to look like dark black. And if you draw it with a double line, it's going to be even darker black. And you know, like if you take a pencil and you draw lightly, or you draw heavily, or you draw twice heavily, they look very different. So if you look at this base, it's very clearly like a double black dark line drawn worth of workers. There's tons of workers in here, very fully saturated. You can see there's constant horizontal movement. This base clearly has too many workers at it. You know, and if you just look right here at these 3 patches should at most have 6 dudes on them, and there's like 8-10 dudes just moving around these 3 patches. They're just constantly moving in and out over there. And over here you can always look at workers who are not doing anything. There's always some idle workers. It's like, can you see how oversaturated this is just by looking at it without having to count? So anytime you glance at your base, you should be getting an idea of, is this base oversaturated? So like, see how there's constant horizontal movement right here? This base is oversaturated. It doesn't look like it's massively oversaturated, because look at this patch. There's only 2 guys on this patch, right? Oh, there's 3 guys on this patch. There's 5 guys on this patch. There's 3 guys on this patch. So I would guess, without counting, that there are like 26 guys here. So let's look. And there are 27 guys here. So you can get just a general idea of what an oversaturated base looks like. And then when your goal is to make 52 workers and stop, it becomes a lot easier to say, whoa, I clearly should have stopped before this, because look at that. This has got to be like 30, now 29. Yeah, so it's 30. Anyway, that's that. So now you're at 200 unit space. Again, you do not have too many workers, but you have too many workers for 2 bases. If you're going to make this many workers, you need a third, and you need it a lot sooner than you got it. So now you're at 200 unit space of tier 1. This is bad. You never want to be on 200 unit space of tier 1, because if you look at the army size, your 200 unit space army is worth $7,200. You want a 200 unit space army to be worth like $9,500, and Marines and Marauders are $50 and $65 per unit space. They're cheap. They're very inexpensive per unit space. Compare that to Medivacs. This guy's 100. He's 100. This guy's 50. He's half. Excuse me. So the percentage of your money that's gone towards expensive things like upgrades, Medivacs, Thors, tanks, battle cruisers, Vikings, Medivacs, Ravens. You want those tech units, the things that cost a lot per unit space. You want to have a lot of those. So now you're way ahead, and I'm glad this is fine. Like, for the first time, you actually attacked right when you hit 200 unit space instead of waiting and attacking after you let him catch up a lot. But remember, we were just on the unit tester a second ago, and I was saying you never want to be attacking siege tanks or Colossus up a choke. Now this is only 2 Colossus, so you might be able to overwhelm him just on the fact that your army is almost 30% bigger than his. Uber Greedy 3011 TVP build order, sir. You've stimmed way too much. You have way too few medevacs. Look at how everyone's health is orange. I don't know if your health bars are turned on constantly, but they should. You should be seeing this kind of stuff. Oh yeah, baby. So this is. Oh no, you just kind of commanded them. That was kind of bad. But this is 5 Colossus. Remember what we said? 2 Colossus is not very scary. 5 Colossus super scary. But also we said that Colossus are like siege tanks. Their health per dollar is quite low. What is Colossus health per dollar? 77. So compare that to a Zealot who has 165, or even a Zergling with 140. Like 77 is very low for a Protoss unit. It's much better than a siege tank, which has like a 53 for a siege tank. Sentry and where is it? Siege tank is 58. So they're pretty fragile. But they make up for it by having a massive range, and you never, as a Protoss player, you never need to let anyone get close to them. So right now, this is bad that he has so many Colossus and you have no Vikings, but this is good that he put his Colossus here unprotected, and you've got your whole army right next to it. This is great. So you really want to just take these dudes and stim and run into those Colossus and just rip them all to shreds. But it looks like at first you move them in, and then you command them in, and then I don't know. You did the right thing. I just didn't like the way you did it. What you wanted to do. So what you did was you moved, and then you realized your guys were bunching up, which is bad, and then you moved. What you wanted to do was move your guys to here, and I want to go in the unit map tester and show you, but I want to see the end of this game too, because it looks like you have a reasonable advantage, but it also looks like you're getting out-teched, just like in all the other games. It also looks like you're very Marauder heavy and very Marine light, just like in the other games. You just lost your whole army, and he only lost a couple of Colossus, but his Colossus are what makes his army viable. Without Colossus, his army is useless, so... DT's always a pain in the ass. You've mined out your main. You've got tons of undropped mules, which means you have tons of scans to deal with these DTs with. Kind of getting ripped to shreds in multiple places at once. You lose the command center even though you didn't really have to. You've got this command center to go land down there later, but you're not going to kill the DTs before doing it, so you're just going to lose a bunch more stuff. You killed his Colossus, easy peasy. You've got a bigger army than him, and you've got lots of workers, but they're not mining at all. But your opponent is also not mining at all because you guys are both equally bad at the late game. Now you're just move commanding behind the minerals and not really fighting. Now you're kicking his butt here. That's good. He's focusing on the Thor, which is the opposite of what he should be doing, but I think you're going to lose this fight, and then because you're not really reinforcing with anything but Marauders, it's I don't know, there's no warping happening, so you're going to mop this up, but he should have been able to kill you right now just by keeping this freaking warp prism over here and warping in more and more rounds of DTs and zealots. Thing is, he's not mining, and he should be. He's screwing this up. I'm gonna move these dudes over. So you're basically falling apart. So this is very similar to the other TVP game. Basically, what happened is you went for a heavy infantry play, which means you have to win in the first 10 minutes because heavy infantry gets worse and worse and worse and worse the longer the game goes. Also, you went for 40 Marauders and 37 Marines. You should have 2 Marines per Marauder. You should have 80 Marines and 40 Marauders or whatever. This is just too many Marauders. Also, the main strength of Marauders is how well they go with medevacs. So with this much infantry, you should have like 10 medevacs. Also, you didn't get any Vikings, so his Colossus just kicked your ass. Also, his upgrades are 2-2 and yours are 2-1. I feel like you're 2-basing and playing it like you're not 2-basing. If you're gonna... Like I said, there are 2 styles. There's macro, where you just keep taking bases and you keep your income high and you keep making a large army. Oops. And then there's timing, where you don't add a third, you don't do anything, you cut workers at a certain point, you just get the biggest army you possibly can at a certain time and go kill them. You didn't cut workers, but you didn't expand. It's like a hybrid. In order to have the biggest possible army, you have to cut workers. In order to have a good late game transition, you need to not cut workers, but you also need to expand. So if you make too many workers and don't expand, that's bad. Also, to be really powerful at 10 minutes, yes, you just spam Marines and Marauders. And you don't even add a starport until super late, sure. But to be really strong at 15 minutes, you totally need to have tier 3 units. So, again, you're following the framework that was meant to be a timing push, and you're doing it in a long game, and it's not going to work out, man. You just can't have a crap ton of Marine Marauders against Protoss in the late game, or even against Terran, or against Zerg, or against anyone in the late game. It doesn't work. Huge Marine Marauder army is going to be so unstoppable at 10 minutes, but it's not going to be great once they have 5 Colossus. And I know that with the cannon rush start, you got thrown off your game, and it took you a long time to really stabilize and get your money low, and you didn't want to push until your money was low, and I understand all that, and that's great. You took 4 gas, and you were like, well, until I have a starport, I can't really spend my 4 gas, and I gotta get my armory in, I gotta get my upgrades up, and I'm going up and up and up and up and up. And you're gonna get to 160 unit space against 100. You have this huge monumental advantage. The build you are doing is meant to have a huge monumental advantage early on. Like right now, because you were delayed by the forge opening or the cannon harass, your strength was kind of delayed until right now. But if you go when you're strong, if you go right now, you have double his army size. You walk in there and he dies and you win. You're attacking too late. You're getting all the way to 200 unit space before you attack, and then you're stuck at 200 unit space of low tier units, and you can't win with that. So I really... I used to have this problem. If you go back to one of my older videos, it's called that. I don't recommend watching it or anything, but this is just proof. I used to have this problem in December 1st of 2010. Yeah, if you focus too hard on making a big early army and then you sit there with it and don't use it, then that big early army of Marines and Marauders just turns into a late giant ball of useless crap in all three matchups. So yeah, this was great. If you had attacked him right now with this army, you would have won. I just wish that you hadn't waited till 200 unit space and then waited a full extra minute while you walked across the field, and then waited another minute at the watchtower, and then waited and 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 waited, and then finally hit him at 1750. So like, we don't want to know when you maxed. We want to know when you were no longer able to do full production cycles because you were gonna be maxed soon. So right about now. So you're at 181 out of 190. This is the end of your ability to spend your money. From this moment on, you can't really spend all your money. It's going to pile up. And it was 3 minutes. 3 minutes after now that you actually fought your first fight. So go at 160. Never be in your base with 160. Always go if you have 160. Yeah. And you would have won. And you would have won, and you would have won. I would even, I mean, your first fight should be at 100 unit space. You should never be getting higher than 100 with your first fight with that build, with that specific focus of the early Marine Marauder strength. The Marine Marauders are great at 100 unit space. They're crap at 180 unit space. They're crap at 200 unit space, so go earlier. Last game.